What's up, all you action figure enthusiasts and toy collectors? It is time for Alternate Heads, but a little bit different. I don't know why he's over here, but we have a special guest here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, creator of the Valaverse, toy sculptor, the man who has created the universe, Bobby Vala. Bobby, thanks for joining us on the show, man.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Oh, well, we've been trying to get some people on the show. So, you, sir, have kickstarted a 6-inch action figure line that might have a familiar name to it called
Maybe.
Action Force. It was successful, and I keep giving you money. Why? I keep going back and adding to this thing.
I guess I'm good at what I do.
I'd say so. Okay, so Bobby, Action Force was a successful Kickstarter. You've been sculpting other figures. It's going to be sold in Big Bad Toy Store. Congratulations on your success, by the way.
That's a huge
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I don't sculpt the figures.
You don't sculpt the figures.
No, I design the figures. I paint the
Sorry.
model. I pay someone else to sculpt for me.
I mean, you can't do everything, right?
Can't do everything.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about your background, and then let's talk about Action Force.
Sure. I won't go too deep, but I spent the majority of my toy career with Hasbro. I was at Hasbro for about 6.5 years. I worked on primarily Marvel. I worked on a lot of Legends stuff. Was on Joe for a little bit. Did a couple items while I was on Joe. Did a few other brands, but primarily Marvel and the MCU stuff. And then I left Hasbro in 2018, and that's when I started my company, Valaverse, and started working on my line Action Force. During that time, I had a short few month stint at Jazzwares, where I worked on their UFC line as well as Fortnite. And then when I left Jazzwares, I devoted all my attention to Action Force, and now here we are.
So you're the reason I don't have any money in my account.
I've heard that I'm the cause of that for many people.
Every line you just mentioned is somewhere in my house.
It's in this room. It's somewhere in here.
I don't even play Fortnite, and I collect those.
So clearly, you have the credentials. So how long had you been entertaining the idea of Action Force? And also, you pretty much were able to acquire a license that, anybody watches Toy Galaxy, Dan Larson had a really good video going over the history of Action Force, and of course, dropped your name in there, bringing it back for the new age.
Yeah, that was cool. That was like a cool moment for me. Because it's like when I saw you did the video for the history of Action Force, I was like, do you think he'll talk about it? And I was like, no, because it's not really the history of it, but I guess at the end of the day, it is kind of the history of it.
Oh, you're part of it.
Oh, yeah.
To see that little nod at the end, I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, that's when you kind of feel like you made it. You're like, whoa, Dan Larson. It's like,
boy.
yeah. Yeah, it's like I remember he was wearing like the T-shirt I sent him like during one of his videos. I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. I have like these kind of geek out moments. Like, I really don't like get over that kind of stuff. Like, to me, that stuff's like really cool. But yeah, so just going back to it, I acquired the trademark for Action Force. So Hasbro kind of abandoned Action Force, and the name, the trademark for it, was abandoned since about 2005. So no one was ever doing anything, but it was kind of just dead and, just kind of in limbo. And when I left Hasbro, I knew immediately I wanted to do something. I was like, all right, well, here's my chance to do something on my own. I noticed a lot of other people doing successful Kickstarters and launching companies on their own. I figured with my, my knowledge and my experience that I felt like I could pull it off. So I thought immediately, like, what am I going to do? And while I was at Hasbro, I worked on a 6-inch G.I. Joe line back in 2016.
Wow.
And the line got canceled because the movie got pushed out or canceled. And I ended up leaving Joe and went back to Marvel. But after I left Hasbro, I still felt like they were doing a disservice to the G.I. Joe brand because they weren't putting out any product. And they said, oh, we can only put out product when there's entertainment. So they were waiting for this next movie, whatever it was. So they weren't putting anything out. And I figured, well, while there's a void in the 6-inch collector market for military or G.I. Joe, I said, I'm going to take advantage of that. So I knew like I wanted to do a G.I. Joe-esque type of line. I wanted to focus it on military, and so I started coming up with this story and started designing characters, and then it just started flowing, and it all kind of came together, and I acquired the rights to the trademark for Action Force, and then while I was at it, I said, well, my favorite GI Joe is Steel Brigade. I might as well do that while I'm at it.
I like that, by the way.
So yeah, I scooped that one up too, and then it all kind of came together. And yeah, the first Kickstarter didn't fund, but I think I kind of went about it the wrong way. And then after it didn't fund, I kind of took a step back and said, all right, well, I think I just need to make little tweaks to it. And I made little tweaks to it, and then I got a bunch of influencers involved, like Dan and Shardimus Prime and the Foosh, and those guys really helped kind of get it out to the masses and get more of that not just the Joe fans, but like that 6-inch Legends Black Series crowd, getting it kind of the word out there on Action Force. And then, the second Kickstarter funded, and then pre-orders have been rolling. And then once Hasbro announced the G.I. Joe line at Toy Fair in February, my sales kind of shot up because people were like, oh, well, you kind of screwed that line up, so we're going to just get more of this stuff. And they came out with space weapons in their line, so it's like, oh, Action Force has real weapons, let's get the real weapons from Action Force. So that really helped boost my sales. And then this whole time I kept thinking, like, all right, well, what's there's still a piece missing, like what's that piece that's going to help propel Action Force into the mainstream? And we all know now that was Sergeant Slaughter.
I saw the picture of you geeking out, 8-year-old Bobby talking to Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
I know that feeling as a guy that goes to conventions. I've gotten to meet him too. And you that Sarge, you just hear him about to call you a maggot again, and it's awesome. Or Tin Hut. So
yeah, it was weird because it's like I met him a couple times, but through this whole process, I never talked to him yet until that day. And, it's like we get on the phone, and it's like, he's like, hey, Bobby, how's it going? And I'm like, wow, like, this is wild, like, talking to Sarge, So that was cool. That was like a cool, like, hour-long conversation.
Now, I think one thing that people don't know about is you've actually created quite the backstory for these characters with the different factions, with Swarm and Kirax group. Like, I didn't know that until I funded, and then I started reading about all the history. So, and I know you've released some comic pages and everything, but there's going to be a good story along with these figures as well. Yep.
Now that I've kind of gotten the Sarge thing out of the way, and everything's kind of rolling now, I'm putting my focus now on the comics because I want to get that mythos out to people. Like, people are craving that story and that fiction, and that's what I want to get in people's hands, because there is a backstory that goes really deep.
Yeah. Especially
with all these characters. So I have a few issues done. The Sarge issue is being worked on right now. So I'm just figuring out, like, now I'm also revamping the website to make it a little more user friendly and get more traffic to it. So I think I might do the comics maybe as like a digital subscription, but then I might collect all the issues as a trade to offer at like conventions or maybe online after that. So the comics are definitely coming.
I mean, there's always doing a comic as a pack-in with figures too. So
I mean, you can just pull one aside for us. We'll read it. Just
yeah, for sure.
I'll have a story time read along for,
there we go.
For the children. It's gonna be PG-13. No, just kidding. So, as a former member of the military, also, I love the realistic look of the weapons. That's what drew me in. I was like, oh,
awesome.
Grenade! Oh, M80 grenade launcher, yes. And the shotgun. I even bought some of the weapons packs just because I got to armor up my boys here.
Of course, yeah.
The integration of the armor and, of course, the articulation. These are really good figures, man. Like,
Thanks.
We're both 6-inch collectors, so this is right up our alley.
I mean, I'll be honest, because I've said it on the show. I didn't do the Kickstarter originally because it wasn't as big of a thing for me back when I was growing up. But the more Jason talked about it, the more it started wearing me down. And if anyone that's a fan of our show has learned anything about me speaking, I'll say I don't like something one moment, and then 2 months later, I've already backed it. It's on the way. I cannot wait.
See, I remember Action Force going through the grocery store with my grandmother, and they were the figures that were there that I could afford because Jason was poor growing up. So I remember those being offered, and of course they weren't the G.I. Joes. They were the ones that everybody kind of, oh, you got Action Force. I have G.I. Joe. But you know what? I was happy with mine, okay? It's
But you didn't grow up in the UK, right?
no, I didn't grow up in the UK, but you could get
Yeah,
those,
no.
like,
The line you're talking about, I forget what it was called. It was called something different that had the word force in it, but that
oh,
wasn't
okay.
Action Force. Action Force was GI Joe in the UK.
And see, I got hipped on that when I saw Dan's video about it. So I may have been wrong with the figures I got, but this was Kid Jason. He was happy to get the toys that he had, so you know.
I remember the line because I had them too. They were like almost like grocery store knockoff GI Joes.
Yeah, and you know
Um,
what? So I'm kind of happy to actually be getting, you know, in that aspect. I was like, you know what? These were the lower, but I'm happy to get them now. But now it's a totally different thing. So
I mean, now we're older. We we can afford to buy our thing.
well, you know,
And
within the wife saying. But anyway, so since the Kickstarter has been, and you said you've been working on the story, but you've also been working on the figures with things like pinless engineering and
Yeah, the
creating new
seamless pin.
characters for
Yeah,
the line.
which always interests me.
So you're actually doing a bit of innovation too, which, of
Yeah.
course, is that something that you? Because we did see. I mean, we're all collectors, and it's not like we're one thing or the other. We have many things in our
Multiple
collection.
lines.
Is this something that you had worked on with Hasbro? Because we have seen them moving to pinless on a couple of things.
yeah. Well, when I was at Hasbro, I mean, I
know you
can't say they copied me or anything like that, but when I was there, when I was on Marvel, I suggested many times to do seamless pins, many times. And I was either told we couldn't do it, factory couldn't do it, or there was no really interest in it. So I said, okay, well, you know, first thing I put out there, shoot, I put this out over a year ago when I first started Action Force that I was looking into doing seamless pins. And then sure enough, at Toy Fair, you know, a year later, Hasbro was like, "Oh, we're doing seamless pins," and it's like,
And everyone
okay,
freaked.
well, that's interesting, you know. And then, you know, it's interesting to see like the hips on the new GI Joes, like they're almost like independent suspension; they
Right.
can move up and down. I had that idea. Like if you look at my input drawing designs for Action Force from over a year ago, I had that on my spec sheet. So it's like it may be like we're all thinking on the same page, but it's like, yes, I had these ideas of this innovative stuff to do because I look at things like figure arts and I look at those they're very well engineered figures, but they're very costly figures because of all the parts. But I always looked at it like, well, okay, can we pull this off but in an easier way, a more cost effective way? So that's when I came up with that independent hip joint suspension, you know, and then I thought about like, oh, seamless, I'm gonna do seamless joints. So it's like, you know, we're definitely on that track, you know, and then you know, Action Force is going to have the digital face printing like the figures have now, like some of the MCU legends and stuff like that.
I've seen some of the
So
improvements on like Condor with a different head sculpt now.
yeah. So now it's like, you know, we're keeping up with the trend of premium figures now. So you're going to get a premium figure that's on par with everything else now.
And I don't think there's a lot of people actually doing 6-inch figures in these kind of same realms. Now, of course, any type of competition would breed innovation. So
Sure.
it's good that somebody else is doing this type of construction, maybe driving other people. Hey, we need to up our game.
Sure.
I'm happy to see that. Like I'm not going to say, oh, I'm never going to collect this line because I'm going to get Valaverse from now on. I'm going to get both. So it's because I'm
I hear you.
like that.
Yeah, well, it's the same, like what we were talking about earlier, was just the fact that, like, one of the reasons that drew me to Valaverse as well is the fact that since we have Joes, instead of being mad that, you know, I'm going to collect one over the other, I'm just going to put them together, take away the space weapons, and make one little happy military family, and I'm going to be just an ecstatic little kid.
Happy
There
military
you go.
family.
You know, now you're going to have a correct cover for Gung Ho. You know,
I saw that. I gotta say, like I said, former military guy, I've worn the BDUs. I said, well, look at that. You corrected that. Cool, good on you. I'm gonna have to get one for whenever my gung ho comes in. But it's a great line. Beyond everybody who's already kickstarted for, they're going through CrowdOx and they're continuing to add and go back. Where else are we going to be able to get Valaverse?
So Big Bad Toy has been my partner since the Kickstarter ended, and they have been an unbelievable partner. A lot of people have ordered with Big Bad, so you know, if you don't want to go through CrowdOx, you can go through Big Bad. It's just as good. So having them on board, such a big presence that they have, has been fantastic. And I'm currently working with other smaller vendors as well to get some wholesale product out to people so that they can get on their site to get it out to more people. I'm working with a UK distributor to get it out to the UK fans. So, like I said, Action Force is kind of in the mainstream now, and now it's just a matter of just getting it out to everybody.
Wow. It's amazing. I mean, there is a market, of course, for us. You look at guys like Boss Fight Studios. They strictly release product through their website, and it sells like crazy. So,
yep.
Bobby, I got to say, this is a great line that you come up with, man. I wish you
Thank
nothing
you.
but success. But what do you see more for? I mean, a lot of people are going, "Hey, we want vehicles next."
Yeah. I get the vehicle question a lot. I definitely want to do vehicles. I want to be able to prove that you could pull off vehicles at 6-inch. But it's kind of one of those things where it's a very fine line to walk with the vehicles because it's good. They're going to be costly. Like if you want vehicles, you got to be willing to pay for it. But also you have to have the right vehicle for the right price. Like I look at what Black Series has done. Like they came out with that TIE Fighter. Now, granted, the thing was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I think the problem was it was just too big. People were like, well, where am I going to put that? Toy collectors only have a finite amount of space.
I'm currently dealing with that problem.
Yeah, and if you want them to give up some of their real estate, like you got to have something very compelling. So I think that was the problem with the TIE Fighter. But if you offer something like, say, you could pull off like a really cool Humvee or a Jeep or something like that, I think people can get behind that and would be willing to spend maybe the $60, $70, $80 for it, and it wouldn't take up a ton of space, but it would be cool enough that they'd want to get it. So it's something I've given a lot of thought to. But once, we'll get Series 1 out, it'll be, out early next year. Mm-hmm. Then we'll roll into Series 2, and then I'll start assessing vehicles then. I want to get the line established and get, a deep squad out there and then start exploring vehicles.
I agree with you when it comes to like what you have to choose for vehicles because we've complained about this before as well, especially along with Hasbro. Just like I don't want to have to spend the extra $20 for the exact same scooter if I want a new character that's not going to get released. So, but something like a Humvee is something that I would invest in. But
as a kid, the Vamp was one of my favorite G.I. Joe toys, and it was just a simple kind of stripped down kind of Humvee, but it had the missile launcher, the winch, and all that stuff. So
take some of the basic figures. The fact that everyone flipped out over the Mystery Machine recently, because you can put a 6-inch figure in that. People bought them.
So okay, Series 1. Who are we looking at for Series 2? I know I was hoping, I was praying that Eclipse was going to make it, but just couldn't squeeze that money out, man.
Yeah. I was bummed. I was bummed that the ladies didn't make it. But Series 2 will most likely be the majority of the figures that didn't get unlocked from the Kickstarter. So Downrange, Trigger, the Garrison Trooper, because those parts, like I'm tooling up those parts. So it's not like, a whole nother Kickstarter to be done for those. Like those parts are getting made so that, all I have to do is kind of just get pre-orders for them when the time comes. So I'm going to kind of do what Boss Fight does is not do another Kickstarter, just sell it through the site, do pre-orders through my site, and be able to just produce it on my own and sell it, just through me. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Series 2, but it's also like I keep coming up with new characters, and I'm like, I gotta stop coming up with new characters because I don't want to not get to them. But, it's cool because I also have this deep library of characters to get to later on. So yeah, Series 2 is going to be fun. I've got some exclusives that I'm working on that might be fun as well. So it'll be a good time come Series 2.
Series 2, you've got our money. It's just it's there. And you keep taking new characters for Series 3. I just want to throw out there that our likenesses are available. We're
you gotta get mine.
Yeah.
I'll send you a picture when I was in the military. That'll be a little bit more flattering. But anyway, no, man, the line looks great. Can't wait to get more. I'm patiently waiting. I know that we've had delays with the pandemic going on and everything, but
yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Patiently waiting my figs and can't wait to get them and add them into these guys up here. And you probably got a fan for life. I did get to see Dan Larson. He got some in hand. Looked really good. So.
Yeah, I sent him some like prototype models. Yeah. Like I made some resin models just so he can kind of see them and get them in hand and get an idea of what they're going to be. So that was really cool to see him kind of playing with them.
What do you want to be the standout for your line? What do you want people to know about Action Force?
I want them to know that I'm producing a line that I have the utmost passion for. Like I know there's other companies out there that love what they're doing, but like I put everything into this line. Like you see, it's like I got Sergeant Slaughter. Like that's how much I care about this line. So it's not like I'm just, coming in it just for a cash grab or whatever, and I want to just be, Hasbro one day, or I can just pump out toys. It's like, no, I want to make something that people are into and that people love, and that at the end of the day, when I get it and you're holding it in your hand, you're like, that's a cool product. So, because it's like I'm a fan like you guys. Like I love talking to everyone. I love doing podcasts. I love going to shows. So it's like I'm just one of you guys. It's just I just kind of have experience making action figures, and I just want to keep making action figures. I kind of said to my wife the other day, I'm like, oh man, it kind of sucks. Like I gotta do sales sheets and update cost sheet numbers and things like that. And I'm like, I just want to design stuff. Like, I just want to work on cool stuff. Like I don't want to deal with the everyday of a company. I want to do design really cool stuff. So it's like that's what I love. That's what I love doing. I mean, look at my room. Like it's like there's just toys and Joes everywhere.
I'm with you, man.
So it's
I
like,
got that same room.
awesome. Yeah, it's awesome, and it's like that's what it is. Like the passion is there. That's what I want people to know, and I think people realize that. Like I get a lot of really nice things that people say to me online. They send me messages like they could see the passion that I have for what I do. And it really just it comes out because I don't hide anything. Listen, my emotions are on my sleeve. It's like I say what's on my mind. So it's like like I care about what I do just by talking to me for 5 minutes.
I gotta say, I'm definitely there. I understand that.
Believe it 110%.
Yeah, I know that's one reason I backed your line. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what else you come up with. Guys, this is Bobby Vala. Go check out Valaverse. Go to Big Bad Toy Story if you didn't get in on the Kickstarter and get your figs. They are excellent and
Just like me.
no,
It's a mistake.
I actually ordered you something on mine.
That
okay?
doesn't mean I'm not going to go
Oh,
buy
look at
more.
that.
See, I sacrificed a fig that I could have had for you because I know this product is going to be awesome.
Oh, well,
Bobby,
Do you want to order some for me?
Absolutely. What do you got for me?
give him some money. There you go.
Where can I send some money for you?
I'm going to put all the links in there, of course, for.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, links
Guys,
below if anyone wants to jump on the pre-orders that are open now. You'll obviously see the links below. You can go to valaverse.com. There's a link to the pre-orders. It's always in all my social media. I post a link on my posts.
and of course,
Big
we're gonna
Bad
put all those
Toy
links
if you
in
like
there.
Big Bad Toy.
If you want to we got to keep the hype train going until we get the toys. So
I know. I'm like, man. After Sarge, it's like, shoot. What do you do now?
Yeah, like right here, we'll buy 10 each.
keep giving out those teasers, man, because Legions of the Valaverse, we're still talking over there. So you've got fans out there.
Yeah, that's a cool. I love that they made a fan page.
Mhm.
It's like when you kind of like step back and look at, whoa, I have a fan page. Like this is awesome.
There you go.
That stuff's kind of cool.
I just found out you were selling a shirt, so I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
wear a shirt.
yeah.
I have shirts, prints, stickers available on the Valaverse site. The comics will be coming soon. I'm really excited for the comics. I got some great people working on the comics.
Oh, I love
Great
the
art
style
coming in.
for one of the. I believe it was the Eclipse story that I was looking at. I love the art style on it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this is-
it's
got
been
a rich
awesome.
universe. This man has spoken with some passion about this line for 24 minutes. I'm excited for it, man. I can't wait to see more from you. Thank you for coming by and talking to us. We're gonna continue to be supporters of your line, and can't wait to see what else you come up with.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate the support. Thank you for having me on.
Everybody, go to the description, get you some Valaverse. It is cool. And Bobby, thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you again.
Thank you guys.